office bearers of the English Language Association, learned teachers, and my dear friends. Good afternoon. Let me begin by thanking God for my presence here with you. I also wish to thank the management, the principal, staff and students in general, and Reverend Father Maria Christus in particular for this kind invitation. I also wish to thank Reverend Father Tony Robert, Principal, Don Bosco School of Excellence, Egmore, for his constant encouragement and support. You saw the video. That was my first public audience as such, because I've always been speaking in front of my classmates, my school, in my school auditorium, before the people I already know. Following my debut, I was also invited by the Indian Catholic Press Association to share my views on journalists as prophetic communicators at their National Convention of Christian Journalists. It brings to my mind how it all started. We can all relate to those fairy tales and fables our parents and grandparents told us when we were young. I'm sure all of us love bedtime stories. And we don't realize it, but I think that's what laid our basic vocabulary. What did I do next? I began to read a lot and then followed writing. Here I must acknowledge that my parents bought me a number of books and I made extensive use of the library at school. The earliest of my written compositions were parodies of the actual fairy tales. They brought out how illogical and crazy few things were. Like, for example, every time I heard of Rapunzel, the princess who was taken deep into the forest and locked in a tall tower with a small window, letting down her long golden hair for the witch to climb, I used to imagine her face wrung with pain, because if anyone was to put their entire weight on my hair, I would have definitely not been smiling, rather whining. Anyway, from those comical works of mine, I would say my writing evolved. I started to write everyday events, then articles and the like. And then came the outbreak of Corona, which brought in 2020. Lockdown followed lockdown, and all of us were so eager to step out of our house, come back to school, college, chit-chat with friends, and see the real world once again. It was this feeling that pushed me to explore a different genre of literature, poetry. With utmost humility and happiness, I must say the first poem I wrote was on my school memories, my school life before COVID, about how we used to run to the canteen to grab a bite, chit-chatting when the teacher steps out, irresistible talks during lunch breaks, bus fun, all of that. At this point, I must also mention that we are all absolutely blessed to be part of Salesian institutions. The whole ambience they provide is certainly unexplainable and unforgettable. From then on, I began to write poems on everything around me. I started a blog, and then there was no turning back. A well-wisher suggested that I participate in a competition which was at the international level. Of course, without much expectation or expertise, I gave it a shot. Totally unexpected, in a competition where there were participants from around 31 countries around the world, I was placed the third in my category, and everyone felt it was a fairly good start for an amateur like me. Besides, my poem was also published in an anthology, and guess what I wrote on? School memories. One more year went ahead. Our school then informed us of the CBSE expression series for that year, And now that is a competition that is conducted by the CBSE board for CBSE schools across the globe. I sent an entry. My poem was taken from our school and sent to the regional level. From there, it went to the national level. And by God's grace, I won the prize for poetry in my category. That year went ahead and brought 2022, which started with a bang. COVID was officially shunned, schools and colleges reopened, and I'm sure we were all on cloud nine. One day, my mom got a call from Delhi, and the person on the other end said, "Your daughter has been invited to visit the Parliament House in Delhi." It's quite understandable if we thought it was a spam, which thankfully it was not. We received a similar call and were then informed that the Ministry of Youth Affairs and the Ministry of Education, Government of India, had shortlisted a few students nationwide to visit the Parliament on the occasion of National Unity Day. From this lot, a handful of us were chosen to speak, keeping in mind our content and presentation skill. And I was excited to be one of them. So, on the day of this memorable event, October the 31st, we were taken for breakfast to the banquet hall in the Parliament premises. The Speaker of the Lok Sabha, the Minister of Education, and other ministers accompanied us for meals. After that, we clicked photos with the Parliament as the background, and then we started our tour around the building. And I'm telling you, it was simply magnificent. We went to the Lok Sabha, then the Rajya Sabha, and we were given briefings on what takes place there. We got to sit where the members of Parliament did. We hit the desks and heard it resonate, and it was all quite fun. Then, of course, we were taken to the Central Hall of Parliament, where we delivered our speeches, and also paid floral tributes to Sardar Patel, and were also shown around the Parliament Library and the War Memorial. As I stood before that audience and took in the historic aura of that place, I fall short of words to describe it. This was the place where our national leaders addressed India on the dawn of her independence. I was excited, I was nervous, and on the whole, it was both terrific and shaky. I am grateful to the Government of India for sponsoring that event from end to end. Speaking in the Parliament, of course, was not something I put in my bucket list. It was beyond even dreams. And I believe that when opportunities come your way, you just have to grab them. That's my experience. Now, let me share with you some of my thoughts on public speaking. Public speaking. What do we have in mind? What is its purpose? Okay, take for example this. Today, I am speaking to you. What is my purpose? I have a message that has to be conveyed. Something is in my mind and I want to pass it on to you. In simple terms, communication. But what are we aiming for when we communicate? Firstly, it is to inform the others of what is in your mind. I want to inform you, to tell you of public speaking and brief you on its nuances as far as I am aware of. The second thing you want to do. What I'm saying might help you in the future. I hope. So here, I intend to make an impact, possibly. We don't want our message to go with the wind. We want it to have an influence on the audience, so that the listener stands to gain something at the end of our presentation. Here's a word of advice. Before you speak, make sure that you know your audience. What interests them, what does not, what offends them, etc. This will help you because if you ever have to convey something that they might oppose, you can use some good tactics of appeal. You will have to bring them to agree with you and then slowly try to win them over to your side. This is the third aim, entertain. Now, this is not necessarily amusing them. The origin of the word actually translates to holding attention. Appeal. What does this help you do? This will help you persuade your audience to explore your views. There are three categories of appeal: pathos, ethos, and logos. Or in simple words, the emotional appeal, the ethical appeal, and the intellectual appeal. Julius Caesar, one of Shakespeare's famous plays, contains the speech of Mark Antony, and it is one of the best of all time. The setting is such: Caesar is stabbed to death by a group of conspirators led by his close friend Brutus. Brutus had to inform the Roman mob of how he and his friends are justified in killing Caesar. He makes a very powerful speech appealing to their intellect. And at the end of it, the people felt convinced that Caesar was killed for the right cause. But then came Mark Antony, who makes a very emotional speech exposing Brutus and his co-conspirators. Mark Antony's speech begins thus: "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar and not to praise him." At the end of his funeral oration, the Roman mob is doubly convinced that of Brutus and his co-conspirators' treacherous act of murder. The people rose against Brutus and his men and drove them out of the city. But how was this possible? It was only because Mark Antony appealed to their emotions. So, what Brutus could not achieve through intellectual appeal, Mark Antony scored an easy victory by appealing through emotions, ethics, and intellect. Now, what I just told you is the reasoning behind public speaking. An effective public speaker is one who can speak fluently, accurately, confidently, and effectively. You can remember this easily with the acronym FACE. Fluency and accuracy go hand in hand. Fluency means speaking without hesitation, pause, etc. But how can this be achieved? Only when you have a good stock of vocabulary. And how can this be acquired? Only by reading, reading, and reading. Accuracy refers to the grammatical correctness, good pronunciation, and choice of words, namely diction. Here, listening will help you understand the nuances of the language. Reading will make you an intelligent individual with an improved vocabulary, which will naturally boost your confidence while talking to people. Remember, proper planning prevents poor performance, and proper practice promotes perfect performance. I repeat, proper planning prevents poor performance, and proper practice promotes perfect performance. So, it is obligatory that we prepare and rehearse our speech. Once you have fluency, accuracy, and confidence, effectiveness will naturally follow. You will know what to speak, when to speak, and how to speak. Here's a tip. Make your speeches personal so that you'll be able to connect with the audience. When you quote a story from your own life, your audience will understand your speech better. But here's the catch. This story of yours should give the audience clarity and not beat about the bush. Now, when you want to emphasize something, intonation or the stress you give will matter the most. I happened to come across a video a few days back, and it was on how one sentence could mean so many things depending on intonation. This is the sentence. I never said she stole my money. Now I'll read it out. I never said she stole my money. I didn't see it. Somebody else did. I never said she stole my money, confirming the fact that she did not steal it. I never said she stole my money. I could have shown actions, I could have written down. I didn't speak out, but yes, she stole it. I never said she stole my money. She didn't steal it, somebody else did. I never said she stole my money. She probably could have borrowed it, right? I never said she stole my money. She stole somebody else's money. I never said she stole my money. She stole something else of mine, not money. See, if you know how to give stress to the necessary words, your audience will understand your speech better. So, let us keep ourselves prepared as we await opportunities in our life. And when they do come, let us grab them and give our best shot. I'll end with a quote by Rob Brown. If you can speak, you can influence. And if you can influence, you can change lives. Thank you very much.